But if you can, kind of take us back to that. And that was obviously your first real up-close impression of Dynamite.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at Tom, is what 5'9", 5'10". I'm guessing. I didn't know Tom very well. Mick 6'4". And out there to do what is expected of him, to take his bumps, to get the stars over, and you can, I'm sure, find it online today anywhere. When he clotheslines Mick, it's pretty obvious, and I've watched him, dozens of times over the years. It's pretty damn clear he's aiming to do exactly what he did. And again, I don't want to talk ill of somebody that's just passed, but, in our business, we place ourselves in each other's hands. And, Mick, as a young kid, eager to please, as we all were at that point in our career, goes in and shoots him, takes the Irish whip and is coming in to take the clothesline as any young kid would expect to take. And like I said, it's not my comment. You can watch the video for yourself and see. It was pretty evident that Tom was attempting to do exactly what happened. Hit Mick in the jaw, because otherwise, how does a 5'9", 5'10" guy hit a guy that's 6'4" in the jaw? It's possible accidents. Accidents happen in this business, and misalignments, that sort of thing. But in my educated guess and watching that video, knowing what I know of the business now as the veteran in the business, it's pretty evident as to what was going on there. More so after the fact, because after the fact, and Mick could probably give better light to this than I could, but as I recall, Mick was never thanked for the match and was never apologized to for the potato. And again, you don't want to talk bad about something that's just passed, but when you go back and look at that, and we all know Mick today, it just really was a level of unprofessionalism in my book that was unnecessary.
Yeah, the WWE has actually even released that on one of the Mick Foley DVD compilations, so it is available if you want to check it out. If you haven't seen it, I mean, one of the first, I get actually no, it's probably was that. I think that might have been his first televised match.
That was Mick. That was his first. Yeah, that was our first night. I wrestled. My first match that night was with Randy Savage, and I believe I also wrestled Paul Orndorff and Jake that night, and also might have been Butch Reed. I had 3 or 4 matches that night, and Mick I believe that was his first match going up and doing enhancement matches in WWE and WWF then.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you have such great memories of that whole thing with, everybody kind of giving you, positive feedback and, and it's just kind of funny, the parallels, but do you recall what Dominic said to Mick about that experience at all?
No. When Dominic would send us up there, it was sort of like, he wanted us to learn. In hindsight, I'm taking a guess at this, but he wanted us to learn, all aspects of the business. And I think in many ways the business had changed in dramatic ways since Dominic and his generation have been on the road. But Dominic was very rare to put in his 2 cents worth after something like that. There might have been the offhand comment like that, that's bullshit, or, maybe a little more colorful than that. But, Dominic would try to stay out of the fray, I think, in realizing that people like me and Mick, if we were going to have a future in the business at that time, we would have to feel our way through it. And, Dominic sort of stayed off to the side on that. And me personally, I rarely went to Dominic with stuff like that. You know, I again, you had mentioned a second ago that, you know, my experiences up there, especially at that time, were by and large, positive. You know, not that you didn't feel like a real piece of shit walking to the ring, you know, as an enhancement guy, that sort of thing. But the feedback that I got from the guys that I worked with was always very positive. You know, so, you know, it was sort of a give and take in that respect. But I never went back to Dominic that I can recall and said, hey, you know, this happened or that happened, and how should we handle that? It seemed to me like Dominic was like the father hen throwing us out into the farmyard and expecting us to find our way. You know, and I'm guessing Mick was probably pretty much the same, because we were sort of two birds of a stone. And, you know, Dominic was never, it wasn't like Dominic was saying, like, you know, sink or swim on your own. But I think, you know, we had sort of gathered from what Dominic had taught us and had been teaching us that we needed to learn the business, the good and the bad side of the business.